D&D is an incredible tool to help you explore what it is that makes you, you. And anybody who's played Dungeons & Dragons for a long amount of time knows this. It is so incredible at helping you therapeutically look inside yourself and figure out things that you did not know beforehand. However, it is not an easy thing to do necessarily. It's very important to not use your table as a therapist, but still use this as a game that helps you grow as a person and figure out your own weaknesses. I think it's an amazing way of doing so long as you do it properly. So let's talk about that. Hey everyone, recording this from the future because when we were making the video, I wasn't sure if we were actually going to be able to announce this, but in collaboration with our sponsors on today's video, myself and the Heralds of Wayanar are going to go to the Dallas Fan Expo on June 17th through the 19th, and we'll be there for pretty much the entire convention. The Heralds of Wayanar are going to be doing some very fun stuff there. They'll be doing some live shows, and I'm not sure what else I can actually say at this point, but they're going to be involved with that, and I will be there with them and would love to be able to meet anybody who wants to show up, who wants to meet the Heralds, who wants to meet myself, say hi, take some pictures, etc. It's going to be a really fun time. I'm super excited. It's the first convention I've really gotten to go to, so I can't wait. If you guys want to get your tickets, I would book them now, and hopefully I can see some of you there. If you see me, please just come up and say hello. It would mean the world. All right? Have a good day. Now, I want to be totally clear and upfront, this is technically a sponsored video, but rather than just do your typical sponsorship, because I thought that was a little boring and not necessarily interesting for you guys, I decided to partner with the people over at Heralds of Wayanar in order to collaborate on this experience. I wanted to talk with people who knew what it was like to play D&D characters long term, and not only that, people who know to play these D&D archetypes and also experience and communicate what those characters are to an audience of people, because that causes you to have to be even more aware of what it is about this character that you care about. So I partnered with them and I was able to interview two wonderful individuals who play on the show, and I think they have some amazing input and experiences. So as I talked with them, interviewed them, and asked them questions, they were able to give me some incredible insight on what it's like to take your D&D character, reflect on it, and learn how it can help you grow as a person in your actual day-to-day life. First off, we're going to start with Brad. Brad is an amazing individual who I've actually been working with for a small amount of time now, and he had some incredible insights about his character Obi and how Obi helped him grow and learn what he has, and I specifically think he has an amazing point near the end. So let's go to it.
Hello, thank you so much for tuning into this video. My name's Brad, and if you can't tell already, I am a British voice actor from across the pond, from the land of tea and crumpets. This character creation process for this show has been one of the most in-depth and exciting things I've ever had to do. I've played a lot of D&D and a lot of role-playing games, but to dive so deep into a character's backstory and drivers and personality traits has been one of the highlights of my career. I wanted to play a character that when this campaign is all said and done and it's completely finished and I never have to play this character again, I want to be able to turn to my friends and family and fans of the show and confidently say that I grew that character and I taught myself something at the end of it. I would like to feel like I have been able to overcome some of my own demons within myself. From a very young age, I've always been a bit narcissistic, and I've always had this I have to please everybody attitude. And I brought that into Obi. He is very self-conscious. He has a lot of anxieties, and he's always doing these kind of grandeur displays of foolhardiness, doing things that probably won't benefit the party, but he does them anyway because it is a mask to cover up his fears. And I want to be able to play through that in a safe setting through the medium of Dungeons and Dragons and come out the other end feeling more confident in myself. So Obi is a rogue, but he's a rogue by circumstance and not by choice. Now, what do I mean by that? Everything that makes Obi tick in terms of his skill sets and the way he interacts with the world has been forced on him from a very, very young age. He grew up in a very harsh environment full of racism and discrimination and essentially living off of anything that you can. But that's not who he is. He is not a commodity. He is not some item to be bought and sold. And the rest of the party are going to be the pillars to help him achieve that, through friendship and unification and through becoming heroes, which is what Dungeons & Dragons and any RPG that has you as the center of the story is all about. I would say myself as a player is very good at reacting to how the world changes around you as the story progresses. Combining that with Obi and his characteristics has been difficult, because I've wanted him to grow in a specific way, but our DM has always thrown these scenarios at us, specifically very morally difficult situations where Obi has to make a choice. And some of the times I've made a choice that myself as Brad wouldn't have done, but Obi would have made that choice. And having to decompress from that after a session and be like, okay, that was Obi and not me making that choice, has been one of the most real things about playing in this show.
I'm gonna be 100% honest. When I first went out to make this video, it was not my intention to broach on this topic. But as I was interviewing and talking with Rose and Brad, I began to realize something. As they spoke so much about how much their characters meant to them and how much it helped them discover things about themselves and how much they wanted to represent certain things. And that really began to get to me. It began to make me think, and I think that's why this is such an important topic. I really enjoy their viewpoints on this, and as we get to Rose here in a second, I think you'll see that this game means so much to them. Yes, they play on a sensationalized show, and I understand that. They play with the intention of being something to watch, and that's great. I think self-reflection is, to be 100% honest, one of the worst practiced tool in our society these days. Self-reflection is what helps us grow, what helps us improve. Looking upon ourselves and seeing where we could be wrong is okay. It's a good thing. It shouldn't be seen as a sign of weakness, and yet a lot of the times, I think we convince ourselves that it is. To admit we have a fault is to admit that we could be weak. But how are we going to improve that if we don't admit that? It's a lot like looking at a building and seeing fractures in the base of the building. If you ignore them, if you patch them over, you have not done anything to help the building, and the building will be weaker because of it. Anything could happen, and it could collapse on itself. You haven't done anything wrong by admitting that there was a weakness there. Maybe you built the building, and you don't want to admit that you could have been wrong. But being wrong will continue to remain, and this building will continue to be weak. And so it is important to actually look at it and decide to choose to acknowledge where you've done wrong so that it doesn't happen the next time. And that, truthfully, makes you stronger than anybody else. As I spoke with Rose, I think she gave me some amazing ideas about how to continue to talk about this topic. And she talked specifically about how she wanted to be the representation for the issues that she deals with that she doesn't get to see a whole lot. And, well, honestly, I'm not going to say it any better than her. So, Rose, take it away.
My name is Rosemary Urbanic. I'm an actor and I'm a voice actor and I am what I like to call a full-time nerd. I'm really, really happy to be able to be on the show Heralds of Wayanar. And so on that show, I portray Viscera. Some really important reasons about her character and reasons why I wanted to play her is that with Viscera, I really wanted to explore the theory of acceptance of who you are and learning to love yourself as you progress and as you change, even though you are accepted of who you are, acceptance of the darker sides of yourself, the sides of yourself that do things that you might not often want to talk about or accept or acknowledge. I really wanted to explore the sacrifices that you make in order to achieve your end goal. A lot of characters can be either like only good or only bad, and I really wanted to play with, in this cinematic style, a character that will make sacrifices and will violate certain ethics in the name of her own goals. I see so many interesting, deep, well thought out characters in media, and I see a lot of them and they relate to me a lot, but I don't see a lot of myself represented in media. Like, visually, I do, but in terms of, like, my motives as a person and things that draw me, it's hard to find a lot of characters in media that are okay with themselves where they are currently, and also know that they want to change. And so I really wanted to explore that feeling and that identity in a very accessible form and in an accessible situation. So I think it's really, really helpful that we are able to go and talk with our DM, Russell Eugene Welch III. And we can talk with him and we can say, hey, Russell, this is something that I would really like for my character to experience, or I feel like this would be very, very great for my character's personal development. And we could talk through situations like that and how we can have bits that we think would work well for our character and work well with other characters, and that would both make the party closer or tear the party apart a little bit, and we can talk about that, and then we can develop some ideas of how that would happen in game. Now, we obviously don't know anything about when that's going to happen, the circumstances around it, but we can actually talk through, okay, yeah, like this is how we would like to tell that story, and we can make sure that we're telling that story, we're not forcing it, and that we are doing it in a way that is narratively sound, but also is really intriguing and plot-driven for our characters and for the party as a whole. And I think that's something that is a part of D&D that like a lot of the times gets kind of brushed over. It's really a tabletop role-play game. You're telling a collaborative story with your friends and with people that you have chosen to trust and be at this table with. So I think it's really, really beneficial that we can have that opportunity to be able to work with each other. Like in any game, if you can go into a game saying, okay, this is kind of a story that I would like to tell, I think it just really enhances the experience, enhances the storyline.
The truth is, I think it's pretty funny that people don't realize that growing as a person typically comes with having to acknowledge what's going wrong in your life. And that's okay. I get wanting to bury your head in the sand, and I think it's really, really important sometimes to give yourself a break from always focusing on the negative. But noticing the negative, acknowledging it, and coming up with a plan to fix it is way better than just letting it build up over time. When I first played my real first PC at Dungeons & Dragons, I played a gunslinger named D'Artagnan, which I've talked about many times. He's my longest running PC and honestly probably my favorite because he really helped me explore a lot of things in myself that I needed to improve on, just like Brad and just like Rose. And as I continued to learn more about them and as I continued to play this character, one specific thing kept getting pointed out to me. D'Artagnan was, in the end, just somebody who wanted to be loved for who he was, and yet he constantly kept a mask up because he believed that who he was not somebody who was deserving of love. And that was really hard for me to come to a conclusion to when looking at myself, because that's hard. Nobody wants to admit that they think that they can't be loved, and yet that was legitimately what I was dealing with. And I never would have come to that conclusion had I not been playing that character and was able to separate it, parts of it. The ability to look at the D&D character and know that it's not you makes learning about those mistakes and weaknesses more palatable, because it is a layer of separation, it is something else, but you understand it is a part of you. And it makes it so much easier to receive those harsh blows because it's almost like you're wearing armor. The character is some armor, and yes, while you still get hit with that blow of that truth ramming into you, it goes into the character first and then filters into you. And that's really why I think this is such an amazing tool for being able to grow as yourself. And it goes even into the game itself. As you self-reflect and learn, and you realize that maybe you're hogging the spotlight too much, or as a DM, you're being a little bit selfish and trying to railroad them too much. Well, great! You can now improve and self-reflect in the actual game and improve in the game itself. Ultimately, yes, D&D is a hobby, and that's okay. But what is a hobby there for if not to enjoy and learn and continue to improve on simply for your own sake? And really, I think it's just an amazing tool to be able to do that. The truth is, when it comes to playing a D&D character, it's a very personal and intimate experience. And for any regular viewers of my channel, there's nothing new with me saying that. I state it all the time. But I think the important thing to remember is just because it's intimate does not mean it is necessarily helping you grow. Reflecting on your characters and knowing where you'd like them to go and change really does help you with evolving and becoming a better person. It lets you explore these parts in a place where it is controlled and lets you truly dig into who you are. Now, is it always just a perfect therapeutic experience? No, and it shouldn't be. D&D as a game is a very personal, intimate, and amazing game, and that's awesome. It is a chance to explore who you are, but it's not a chance to make the rest of the table your therapist. Now, that being said, I think it's very important to take those parts of ourselves and truly learn from them. It's like what Brad said. He stated that he wanted to look back at the character and know the character grew, but he also wanted to look back and know that he learned something from that. And that's so crucial. I've played characters before where they were just, well, genuine assholes. And I played that because I, in real life, tend to be very, very kind to the point where I am a little bit of a pushover. So being able to play that type of character is awesome. But it also helped me learn that, yes, maybe sometimes I do want to be that brash, but it hurts people. It's not worth it. It's not worth being that much of a jerk because all you do is push people away. I learned something from that experience, and I didn't have to actually be an asshole myself to get to that point. It is so important to be self-reflective on these sort of things if you really want to be able to better yourself. Is D&D always going to be an incredible experience that changes everything for you? No, but it could be. And I think that's so fun, incredible, and really what makes the hobby as special as it truly is. I really want everybody to be able to enjoy this hobby, have an amazing time, and also know that it's changing their lives and other people's lives for the better. Because after all, isn't that the entire point of why I made this channel? to improve everybody's lives and help you guys fulfill in what you want to be fulfilled in. So go out into the world and make it your own, you beautiful bastards. Don't forget to have a great day, and never forget to play your role. This video wouldn't be possible without the incredible beautiful bastards over on our Patreon. I'd like to give an additional very personal thank you to the Divine Bastards Big D the Cool Guy, BKBW, Clark Smith, Diet Blue, Duplicolor, Manifesting, Rocky, Sassy Cat Productions, Sorit, Supreme Court, Talia Martin, Tin Eye, Void Mystic, Volpe Nico, and Zombies Were People Too. We wouldn't be able to do what we do without you guys, and you mean the absolute world to us. Keep being beautiful, keep being amazing, and as always, make the world your own.